Welcome to Beneath the Surface with TJ Woodward and Rachel Kove. In a world that often moves quickly and stays on the surface, this is a space where we slow down and turn inward. Together, we explore what lives beneath our stories, our reactions, and the ways we've been conditioned to see ourselves, others, and the world. We dive into themes of recovery, trauma, identity, polarization, and conscious living. Let's begin. Welcome back. If you watched or listened to our last episode, you know we definitely went beneath the surface. And I want to share something with you. After the episode, Rachel and I immediately hugged, and then we both did something instinctual, and that is we shook off the experience. And that is a segue into what we're talking about right now, which is beneath the surface of healing, or a deeper dive into healing. And one of the things I'm really aware of in the animal world is when they experience trauma, they instinctively shake it off. I'm curious about that.
Oh, yeah. Shaking is necessary. It's necessary. And when I started to learn how to shake the stress out of my body and get back to the body's natural desire to move the trauma out, that's when I started to really be able to change.
Yeah.
I'm not interested necessarily in talking about things forever. I want to have the body and mind connect. The body is designed to move the stress out, to move the emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. I am not a somatic specialist by any means. I love all the people that are doing it. I do know that for my own healing, connecting to the body and learning the body's intelligence and knowing and having complete trust that the body knows what it's doing. See, when one was traumatized, you stopped something in its track.
Yeah.
So to heal is to move the energy, to remove what's trapped and to let it be released.
I'm going to give you an interesting story about that.
Yeah.
So I lived in San Francisco for 30 years, and for a decade of that, I had a Vespa, and that was my primary mode of transportation, which was simultaneously convenient and also a little insane because I was in a few accidents, and one of them was somewhat severe. I laugh. I broke 2 vertebrae, and it healed, but there was a time in my healing, and this is metaphorical. It's literal and metaphorical. There was a time in my healing when my doctor said, the vertebrae have healed, and it's okay for you to start getting some deep tissue massage because that might help. When I went to my massage person, who absolutely was the most amazing massage person ever, he said, here is the interesting thing. Your vertebrae have healed, but the muscles around it don't yet know it. So they are holding safety for the vertebrae, even though the vertebrae actually is healed. And so we're going to work out the muscles so that, the vertebrae can then, do what they do. The reason this is so important to me is I saw that, of course, as a metaphor. My entire system, a trauma response, was trying to protect something that no longer actually needed protecting, but my entire nervous system believed it did. Ugh. I was in the freeze. Mm-hmm. When I was young, series of traumatic events, but one that's a very simple one to talk about was when things got difficult, period. I went into my room and escaped into fantasy. I would close the door and I would play with my toys. I was one that froze a lot. And how it showed up in my early recovery, my early spiritual journey, my early therapy experience was, why do I keep numbing out? Why do I keep feeling myself disconnected from reality? I shouldn't do that. And then I realized through, my work that that protector was there for a reason. It was like that muscle that was trying to protect something, even though I actually had the inner strength to address it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that is so brilliantly described.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so brilliantly described. And I think that speaks to what a lot of people are feeling but don't really necessarily know that they're even feeling it. That's why language is so important. That's why limiting language is so negative. The body is a marvelous mechanism. It is genius. And when we've been avoiding it because we don't know how to feel emotions, we don't connect to the intelligence of the body. If animals just go shake things off and then they can just exist, why are we any different? We're animals. We are frontal lobe animals, so we can think about it, we can plan, we can create what we want to do. I always talk about Joe because he's my best friend and I just had him on my podcast. We talked about this for 2.5 hours. The fact that we can create something, what else do you call that other than magic? My son drives around with a Harry Potter wand, and he'll be sitting in the front seat and he'll go, whoo, whoo, right? And I think about that and I go, what is he doing with that wand? What is his spell, right? It's desiring to create something outward from within, right? We can do that as human beings. We are so capable, right? Healing is about restoring what the soul already knows and remembering. That's what it's about.
Can you say that again?
Healing is about restoring what the soul already knows and remembering.
It's so important. And what I want to add to that is so many of the healing modalities are centered in the mind.
Yeah.
Let's tell the story. Let's rehash the story. Let's reframe the story. Let's change the story. Let's change the core beliefs. Let's have opposite action. All of that is important to a degree. What you and I know is that true healing comes from an experience. And the old school trauma healing was about re-experiencing the trauma. I have a very good friend who had pretty severe trauma growing up, sexual trauma. You know, her dad molested her most of her childhood. And she said when she went to therapy, the therapist just wanted her to talk about the trauma over and over again. And she felt like the Band-Aid got ripped off this huge wound and then just tried to put a little Band-Aid back on it. And it kept re-traumatizing her. What I know to be true is it's not about the traumatic event, but what's still alive in our body. And that's what you're saying. And also, along with that, what did I absorb and decide? I know I say it all the time, but it's so important because what I decided about myself and what I absorbed, shame, a deep belief that I'm broken or something's wrong with me, that's what creates reality. We heal trauma not only through the mind, change the story, but where did it originate? Not going back and re-experiencing the trauma, but looking at what I absorbed and decided and how that moment that can seem either significant or insignificant. And the reason I say it that way is I decided I was stupid when I was 5 years old because I couldn't tie my shoes. It's kind of, I'm going to say this, it's kind of funny, but someone trolled me a little bit on social saying, is this a Mad TV episode? This guy's saying his addiction came from the fact that he couldn't tie his shoes? Actually, yes, I am saying that. Not that because I couldn't tie my shoes, I became addicted, but because I decided very deeply there was something wrong with me or I was stupid. Insignificant moment to most significant moment to me.
Yeah, it's so sad. And I have an experience with my son who I'm so in love with. And children are here to wake us up.
Yeah. Because
children are infinitely present. So whatever you're avoiding will show up in the presence of your children. Yeah. That happens also with partnership. My son didn't know how to tie his shoes. I always get emotional. The innocence of a child is so beautiful. And when a parent can create patience and boundaries and communication and can unconditionally express love with such safety and relaxation in the space, the child thrives from a place of authenticity. Because when the physical is safe, the soul can thrive.
Yeah.
Right? And my son, he was on the way out the door and he didn't know how to tie his shoes. And he got frustrated and he was like, I don't know how to do it. I just don't want to put them on. Right. And I looked at him and I said, hey buddy, we're going to sit here as long as you need to sit here. I don't care how long it takes. And we're going to take our time. And I don't care how many mistakes you make, but you're going to learn how to tie your shoes. And he started tying it and then he couldn't get it. And he said, we're okay. I said, yep, it's okay, buddy. Just keep trying.
Yeah.
Right. And then he got it. Right. And what I did in that moment was I showed him that it's okay to be frustrated. I showed him that it's okay to not know how to do something. I showed him that it's safe to learn. I didn't shame him, right? We're all healing from toxic shame. We're healing from parenting that was so fear-based. And the approach was, I'm going to scare you into submission. I'm going to intimidate you so much to do what I need you to do so that we can get out the door, right? And I have a lot of compassion for that approach to parenting because, again, it comes from being raised in war, right? We don't have time to teach our kids how to put the shoes on, put the shoe on and get out the door so that we don't get killed, right? Emotions were a waste of time, right? So I think about that and I just think about that happened because of my own healing.
There are two things you said that are so important. One is what you just said. It happened because of my own healing. My work mostly is working with clinicians now. And I like to be bold and say, it's not the most important thing for you to do. It's the only thing you need to do. And that is your own healing. Because if I haven't done enough, there's no finish line on healing. If I haven't done enough of my own healing, I'm going to try to go fix something that feels broken. And that energetic is felt, but only 100% of the time. But even more importantly, you said something that is so crucial. And I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't remember your exact words. The soul does not need fixing. It needs remembering. It needs to be celebrated and honored. A child is more deeply connected with that truth because they have less programming than we do as adults. Mm-hmm. We've had years of programming to dissociate from the truth of who we are and identify with a false belief of our own brokenness.
Yep.
And I know that we, once again, could talk for a long time. There is a chance if we do a season 2 of this podcast that we might go to 30 minutes, but we wanted to do 15 minutes sort of as an experiment.
Yeah.
So let us know what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
We see this not as like separate episodes, but one continual conversation in 8 parts. That's the intention. And so let us know what topics you'd love to, do you want to hear more from us? Let's start with that. What those topics would be. Do you like 15 minutes? Do you want more? Rachel, thank you.
Thank you.
In closing, what I want to say is healing can be a process, but it can also be a spontaneous awareness of the truth of who and what we are. And that each of us has the ability to remember who we are. And to me, that's the simplest definition of healing. So thank you. Thank you for who you be in the world. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Beneath the Surface. As we close, we invite you to notice what may still be resonating or unfolding within you. There's no need to resolve anything, just allow it to be met with curiosity and compassion. If this conversation was meaningful, please subscribe, share the episode, or leave a review. It helps others discover this space and continue the conversation. Until next time, be gentle with yourself, stay present, and keep exploring what lives beneath the surface.